With that, then, I guess I will say good morning. And so good to be together. So good to see you. Happy first week of 2021. You know, the year when everything's going to get better. All that bad junk from the previous year is all done with, and now we're ready for a fresh start and new life. Feels good, doesn't it? Or as somebody already said earlier on our time together here, welcome to December 41st of 2020. Since it seems like things are just continuing along the way they are. Well, whatever day it is certainly a good day to be together. Welcome one and all, particularly to any folks who might be here for the first time. And there's always some unfamiliar names, which is a delight, and some that have become familiar as we've gotten to know you over Zoom and been worshiping together. I'm really grateful that you're here, and I feel glad that we're able to offer a sense of community and a sense of hope during these really quite strange and frightening times. Our theme for the month of January is imagination. Hopefully you've all seen the theme guide that gets sent out with the newsletter and in other forms. Look for that if you haven't. There's some wonderful exercises, spiritual exercises in there, and links to playlists and videos and great readings and so forth. And we were going to kick that month off with a service about the power of poetry and metaphor and metaphorical language and so forth. And we'll certainly hear some of that over the course of the day, but our service has taken on a somewhat different shape, as you can imagine, based on the events of this week. If you are new to us, we're a progressive and inclusive spiritual community. We're dedicated to celebrating life, empowering people, caring for one another, and helping to build a better world. And we'll invite anyone to join us, whatever your theology or your sexual orientation, even your political persuasion. If you want to do those things with us in a loving, open-minded, loving-hearted, helping-handed sort of way, we want you to join us and be a part of this community. Not much really happening to make announcements about. We continue to just try and keep things together. I'm sure you read or heard that we're in lockdown for another month. So we'll just kind of continue doing things the way we've been doing. The biggest thing that's happening down at the Glazer Center is that we are about to put the carpet in. Hang on one second. Ending an echo here, sorry about that. The carpet is going in starting tomorrow. Thanks to everybody who came down and helped haul stuff out of the way. Really looking forward to how that's going to make the place shine. We'll let you know when that's all done. And I'm sure Kenyatta will put out the word for some volunteers to help get everything put back together again. Next week is our turn to host the North Bay Round Robin service, call it what you will. So we'll have lots of visitors here from all of the other North Bay congregations as we face the imminent inauguration. It'll be so good to be together as UUs. So spread the word about that, and I sure hope to see you here then. We're gathered, we're silent, we're taking a deep breath, and we're ready to be together in the spirit of worship. Let's let music bring the spirit into mind, body, and soul.
Good morning. Our theme this month is imagination. And today we focus on the power of metaphor. As I light our chalice, I invite you to invoke your powers of imagination and enjoy this poem by Emily Dickinson. To make a prairie, it takes a clover and one bee. One clover and a bee, and reverie. The reverie alone will do if bees are few.
Let's sing together. The opening hymn is Morning Has Broken, and I invite you to raise your voice at home to accompany this.
Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for them springing fresh from the word. Sweet the rain's new fall, sunlit from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where our feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day.
I have a reading for us to share from our hymnal. You may read as much of this as you like, but commonly I would read the plain text and you the bold. Here's an important metaphor. The Body is Humankind by Norman Cousins. I am a single cell in a body of 8 billion cells. The body is humankind. I am a single cell. My needs are individual, but they are not unique. I am interlocked with other human beings in the consequences of our actions, thoughts, and feelings. I will work for human unity and human peace, for a moral order in harmony with the order of the universe. Together, we share the quest for a society of the whole equal to our needs. A society in which we need not live beneath our moral capacity, and in which justice has a life of its own. We are single cells in a body of 8 billion cells. The body is humankind. And 7.8 billion really, but I rounded up. Let's sing our principal song as we get ready for our Time for All Ages.
While each person is worthwhile, to be kind in all you do. Three, let's help each other grow, for keep searching for the true. Five, each person has a say. Six, for a peaceful world. Seven, unravel that's a way that will bring us back to you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Time for All Ages. My name is Eric Capone, and I'm the Director of Religious Education here at UUCSR. As always, I am absolutely delighted to be sharing with all of you what's going on in RE this week. This morning in RE, our conversation once again turned to imagination. While last week the kids were encouraged to imagine the sort of person they might like to become, this week we narrowed our scope and imagined one specific scenario. What does your perfect day look like in a future where COVID is gone? The kids in RE today shared beautiful ideas of days to come as they effortlessly found themselves playing once more with friends, exploring the world, and being close to one another. The smiles on their faces, the way in which they described their days, showed how much hope they held for the future. So today, I would like to pose to you all the same question. What does your perfect day after COVID look like? It doesn't need to be anything big. It can be as simple as a hug that lasts for minutes, free of anxiety and masks, a hug that begins when you see someone you haven't seen for months. Watch them run to your arms and you hold each other as tight as you can. That imagination, that metaphor, letting that handhold grow and grow until it becomes a day that is so beautiful and important. At its best, imagination is hope. It is the possibilities of tomorrow. It is the call to enact them, and it is the perseverance to keep up the fight. As we watch the children of RE today share their perfect days, I hope that their imagination can be that spark of hope for you as well. All right, so here is our Wonder Box. What do you guys think is inside? Any guesses?
Can you shake it again? I couldn't really hear it.
Yeah, I'll shake it again.
Rocks.
Drums. Good guess. Any other guesses?
Drum.
Drum, another great guess.
Puzzle.
A puzzle, yeah, Owen.
Wood.
Wood. That's a good guess. Should we open it and check it out? Jake says wonder. You're not wrong there, Jake. There is a bit of wonder in here. All right. Oh, these are some strange things. There is a bowl with some chopsticks. I'm holding these upside down. A bowl with some chopsticks. A bag of dice. Let me get some of the dice out so you can see them. A bag of dice. Oh, and one last thing. A bunch of hearts. Huh. What could all these different things mean? Any guesses? Anyone know? No? Well, they are all pretty strange, and you think, how do these things go together? Well, these items represent my perfect day after COVID is gone. Because after COVID is gone, I want to go to a restaurant and I want to sit down inside and I want to eat food with my friends. That's why I have my bowl and my chopsticks. I have my bag of dice because I want to play games with my friends. I want to sit down at a table and play a game, not a video game, but a game where I can sit right next to somebody and roll some dice and have a lot of fun. And the hearts, why are there a lot of hearts? Does anyone, maybe somebody knows why there's a bunch of hearts in this box? These hearts represent all the people I want to spend that day with friends like you guys, with my friends from who I've known for a long time who I haven't been able to see, with my family. Those hearts represent the people that I want to spend that day with. Because I could eat food or roll some dice on my own, but the thing that makes it really, really special, that I am so, so excited for, is to spend a day with friends, not worrying about masks or social distancing, just getting to hang out with the people who I love and care about. That's what makes my perfect day after COVID so special. So now I want to ask you, what makes your perfect day? Does anyone have a day that they're really looking forward to after COVID? Maybe it's something that you really want to do, or someone you really want to see, or somewhere you really want to go. Does anyone know what they would like to do when COVID is all gone? If you could like, you can unmute and let us know. Yeah, Rory, what would you like to do when COVID is all gone?
Play video games with my friends in real life, not online.
Play video games with your friends in real life, not online? Sitting right next to someone with a game controller? Oh, that sounds awesome.
Defeating Owen in arms.
Defeating your brother in arms.
Basketball arms.
Defeating Owen and Rory in arms over and over again.
Brenna, what's your perfect day when COVID is all gone?
I can play in Melody's house.
So you can play at Melody's house. Oh, won't it be so nice to go to your friend's house? Oh, that's a wonderful idea. Jasper, what does your perfect day after COVID look like?
I'm not sure. Too many things.
Too many things? There's so many to pick from. Well, the good thing is you don't have to have just one perfect day. You could have 2 or 3 or 100 or 1,000,000 perfect days. It's so hard.
It's really hard to think about, though.
It is. There's so many things to think of.
So I don't really want to.
You don't want to because there's too much to think about. I understand that, Jasper. Well, thanks for sharing. Evan, do you have a perfect thing, a perfect day, or something that you really, really want to do when COVID is all gone? What's something you really want to do?
Go to Disneyland.
Go to Disneyland, of course. Oh, it'll be so nice to go to Disneyland when COVID's all gone. Dylan, do you have something that little Dylan, did you have something you wanted to do when COVID is all gone?
Pass.
Pass. Xavier, or Big Dylan, yeah. What's something you want to do when COVID is all gone?
I'm gonna go to Disneyland with Evan.
You want to go to Disneyland with Evan? You could go as a whole gang. Yeah, Jonah.
I wanna go to Disneyland with Evan and Dylan.
You want to, maybe both your families could go to Disneyland at the same time. Oh, that would be so fun. Oh, and do you have a thing that you're really looking forward to? No, that's okay too. Sometimes we don't want to think about those things yet. That's okay too. Well, thank you everyone for sharing your perfect days. There are so many things that we can do when COVID is gone. And even though it might not be for a little bit, it's really nice to think about because it gives us hope for the future. Because we can go to Disneyland. We can go to our friends' houses. We can go sit and play video games. All these things are things we can do if we just wait a little bit longer. And I can tell by the smiles on your faces how excited you are that those days are going to be amazing when they happen. Thank you, everyone, for watching that with me. I am always so delighted by seeing the imagination of kids. And even though it was brought to a scope that was a little bit smaller and more narrow, just hearing cries of Disneyland and video games and the idea of beating your brother and his friends was just truly, truly delightful. So before I let you all go, let us do our unison affirmation. We are Unitarian Universalists, people of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Era. Part of the way we demonstrate our faith in humanity and in the future and in the powers of good is to share our gifts of time, talent, and treasure with the broader world. We express that in worship by taking an offering, which these days and in the future we give entirely away through our program called Share the Basket. And today we're going to be supporting a wonderful institution in our community that we have given money to many times in the past, which is KBBF, the bilingual radio station. The easiest way for you to make a donation might be to just visit their website. If there's a way to make a memo line or a note, you can do so and maybe let them know that you're from UUCSR. You can also go through our website or write us a check and put KBBF on the memo line, and we'll make sure the money all goes there. And to tell you why you might want to be generous to this wonderful radio station, here is one of their directors to tell us a brief word.
Dear sisters and brothers of the Unitarian Universal Church, my name is Alicia Sanchez, and I'm president of the board of directors of KBBF Radio. I come to you today to tell you a little bit about KBBF. In 1973, a group of idealistic Chicano students from Sonoma State and San Jose JC, along with some Anglo members of our community and farm workers, they came together and they had a dream, and that was how to best serve the growing Latino community. And they thought about a radio station, a bilingual public radio station, and that dream came through in 1973. The vision of that radio station was to engage and empower the community so that they could make decisions based on the information they had. But KBBF is more than just a radio. It's like a family. It's like you and I. And when disasters happen, when crises happen, we're right there to serve the community. But we don't do it alone. We do it now with the help of other people in our community. Indigenous people from Mexico, who in their language of Triqui, Mixtecos, Zapoteco, they get on the air and try to serve their community. It's people like you who have faith in us and support us during this difficult time. It is only together that we will be able to conquer all these crises that are going on right now. And we thank you so very much for your help.
And in anticipation of the gifts that we will give to KBBF and in gratitude for the ability to do so, let's say together these words, our offering dedication. To the work of creating beloved community within and beyond our walls, we dedicate these offerings and ourselves. Now is the time for us to hear some of the milestones from the members of our community.
Good morning. I'm Bruce Hope, one of your late chaplains. Milestones are where we share our joys and sorrows with the congregation. These are the milestones for this week. Deborah Mason shares her joy. I'm a grandmother. My daughter Annie and her husband Bob welcomed their daughter Joni John Pritchard into the world on December 26th. She's adorable. Michelle and I spent last week with them in Southern California. She's our little miracle, inspiring so much love and devotion, feeling blessed. From Cassandra Lista, despite the horror of the siege on the Capitol, democracy won out, with the election of Reverend Warwick and John Ossoff and the certification of the Electoral College votes. Electing Biden-Harris team. Mary Wolfe reports, I have a great sadness about what happened to the Capitol at the Capitol building this week, but it's tempered with hope and excitement about the Georgia elections. It's the beginning of hope for our nation. If you have something to share with all or a private concern to talk over with the lay chaplains, please contact us at laychaplains@uusantarosa.org. We give thanks for the sharing of these milestones, on how they remind us of our shared humanity and common fate, and inspire our compassion and care. May all our joys be magnified as we delight together in the good news. May all our sorrows be eased as we carry them together in community. May you who are searching for courage, comfort, faith, and hope find what you seek, and may all people grow in wisdom, compassion, and love, that the whole world might live with justice and in peace. Take care and be well. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing those, friends, and congratulations, Deborah. Wonderful news, much needed. I'm going to invite you to pray with me and then share a reading from one of our great old ministers, Richard Gilbert, which will lead us into a time of silent meditation. So I trust you're comfortable sitting wherever you are right now, but make sure you can be still for a little while. And first, let us pray. Great spirit of life and love, O living universe. Mother Nature, Father Sky, you, O holy unity known by any names. We feel you among us in a spirit of love and community and connection, in the openness of our hearts, even in dark times, to hope and possibility. We give thanks in the midst of fears and struggles and challenges for the many gifts of life that are to be found even on the darkest day. The bright green grass bursting up through the soil, the first flowers in the bud beginning to emerge, reminding us that life is a continuing evolution, a continuing unfolding, and that the surging power of creation and possibility cannot be stopped. We give thanks for good and inspiring words that we have heard from our wise leaders and poets and writers and creative people in this week in particular, as we have sought to make sense of and consider how to react to these extraordinary events that are unfolding around us. We are praying for our nation. We are praying that truth will prevail over lies. We are praying that we are brave enough and capable enough to hold people responsible for destructive acts. We pray for the endurance of our imperfect and ever-growing democracy, which for its many deep, ancient, and tragic flaws remains a beacon of hope for the world and for ourselves. May sense and compassion and honesty guide our leaders in the days to come. May each of us consider ways that we can serve the cause of truth, the cause of justice, the ending of racism, the ending of lies, the transformation of a society built on acquisition and extraction into one that is built on cooperation and wholeness and sufficiency and adequate resources for living for all people. Let us consider the ways we have been complicit, pledge to change them, ask ourselves deeply what we might do to build this world we're dreaming of. Let our hearts remain open, tender, broken, and yearning, so that that love that causes that pain flows in and out of us and will move this hurting and broken world in the direction of the wholeness and joy that are our true birthright. May all beings be at ease and be happy. May the better world of which we dream come to be. Amen. And blessed be. And now we're going to take a deep breath and let these words take you to that place of stillness. In the midst of the whirling day, of the hectic rush to be doing, pause here for a moment. Catch your breath, relax your body, loosen your grip. Consider that our lives are always unfinished business, that the picture of our being is never complete. Allow your life, allow all life to be a work in progress. Do not hurry to mold the masterpiece. Do not rush to finish the picture. Do not be impatient to complete the drawing. From beckoning birth to dawning death, we are in process, and always there is more to be done. Do not let that incompleteness weigh on your spirit. Do not despair that imperfection marks your every day. Do not fear that all things are still in the making. Let us instead be grateful that the world is still to be created. Let us give thanks that we can be more than we are. Let us celebrate the power of the incomplete, for life is always unfinished business. Let us be still.
The last week has tested our capacity for imagination, resolve, and dedication to the ideals of our nation. Since we live in earthquake country, I'll offer you this metaphor. It felt like being on ground that is liquefying under our feet. Nothing holds steady. We cannot anchor, and yet we must. One of my anchors is literature. I turn to writers who lyrically and profoundly explore our deepest concerns and hold them up in vessels of understanding. I wrote the following reflection a week ago, and it continues to resonate for me. I was the kid who always had her nose in a book. Just ask my sisters. The TV could be on with Saturday cartoons. My sisters were wrestling on the floor, my mom banging pots and pans in the kitchen, and I sat curled up in a chair reading. I remember clearly the day I finished a Nancy Drew book in an afternoon. The library in Cloverdale was a converted 2-bedroom bungalow. I can see it now as I ran my fingers over the children's section, hoping to find something I hadn't read yet. I remember the librarian placing Anne of Green Gables in my hands and helping me find my way to other discoveries. In books, I could imagine a world outside that small town. I could join Jo Marsh as she left home to pursue her writing career in New York. In Avonlea, I grew up with Anne and shared her adventures. I appreciated her fiery spirit and the close friends she made. When I had 2 preschoolers at home, I reread the entire series and was buoyed again by her effervescence. Once in high school, the reading adventures continued. I can still quote from Our Town when Emily returns to Earth for one day and asks, "Do any people ever realize life when they live it every minute?" The stage manager answers, "The saints and poets, they do some." It was natural to become an English major in college. I could devote myself to exploring life as expressed in metaphor. What do I mean? I prefer to read novels rather than nonfiction because I am given an entire world. Fiction shows me fully realized individuals struggling with ideas and relationships. I can enter other cultures. I can begin to appreciate how the world looks for individuals whose circumstances and experience are vastly different from my own. Barbara Kingsolver takes us to Africa in Poisonwood Bible. 4 daughters, their mother and missionary father set out. Kingsolver contrasts the small southern town they leave behind and its values with the culture they find in a small African village. In the course of the novel, each daughter defines her identity and grows to maturity. In Less by Andrew Greer, we meet a narrator who is experiencing middle-aged gay angst. Is there meaning left for him in life? He wanders the world to find out, and we experience each place in exquisite and hilarious vignettes. An American Marriage makes the racial injustice of the American legal system poignant and terrifying. Just when you think there can't be another World War II novel left to imagine, along comes All the Light We Cannot See, and we live through the war from the perspective of 2 children, one French and one German. How would you like to spend 40 years living in the Metropole Hotel in Moscow and get a dose of Russian history from the end of the Tsars through World War II? A gentleman in Moscow is your ticket there. You can experience the history of Vietnam told through a family living from French colonialism to the communist takeover of the North, to the American War and final reunification. All of this and more, suffering, persecution, escape, trudging through the jungle. Just read The Mountains Sing. As I review this list, I am transported from the daily doom scrolling we've endured this past week to other lands, other times, other struggles, other dreams. Each of these novels is a precious jewel, offering a unique, curated perspective about how to make sense of our life and times. They are hymns to endurance. Their metaphors feed my imagination. They give me perspective to understand and appreciate my life and our times. And they give me an anchor and the courage and insight to work for change.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, walk on shores while spirits fly, over the ocean, over the land of faith, a quest to understand.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, children ask the reasons why. In our lives the answers show, and by our love they build a crown.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, all upon and all shall die. Life's the time left in between, to follow a star, to build a dream. Touch the earth, reach the sky, hug the laughter, feel the cry. May we see where we can give, for this is what it means to live.
Touch the earth, reach the sky, soar with courage ever high. Spirits joining as we fly, to touch the earth, to reach the sky.
Thank you, choir. I'm not offering a sermon today. I'm offering a Dharma talk. As I understand that, this is the practice in my Zen tradition where the teacher or speaker of the day sits before the gathered body and tries to express the heart of the great matter as they understand it, the dynamic interplay of the essence of things and the manifestation of things, the unity of existence, the limitless and capable nature of our minds. And as I understand a Dharma talk myself, it's not something you read. It's something you speak out of your heart. And I'm having to do this today because, irony of ironies, on a day that was originally meant to celebrate the power of the written word and of poetry and metaphor to express the depths of our lives, I could find no words. Everything I write feels like one more speck of dust in a moment where everything is cloudy. I have certainly been turning to poetry, to scripture, to try and make sense of what's going on. And if you take nothing else away from this time we share together, I steer you there. Turn off the TV for just 24 hours and see what Rainer Maria Rilke or Toni Morrison have to say. Part of the problem is I am so consumed with feeling that if I read anything that seems like it has to do with our current state of affairs, so fraught, so fragile, I start to cry. I mean, I'm so on the verge of tears these days that a video from Arnold Schwarzenegger made me cry. What has happened to the world if Arnold Schwarzenegger is making me cry? As he sat at his desk and decried the hypocrites and the liars and the devious people who would destroy American democracy, as he pledged his loyalty to our duly elected, decent incoming administration, and as he held up the sword that he used in the movie Conan the Barbarian, of all things, and said, "This is Conan's sword," And our democracy, he said, using a powerful metaphor, if perhaps a little martial for my tastes, is like this sword. To make the best, strongest, sharpest sword, let's say the sword of wisdom, Manjushri's sword, you must heat it, pound it, cool it, shape it. Heat it, pound it, cool it, and shape it again and again. And as the object passes through all of that stress and all of that swinging back and forth between extremes, it actually becomes sharper and stronger. And so too, he said, our democracy, that all of these struggles that we're facing, that the real sense of conflict and danger that we find ourselves in right now can be, if we choose, part of this long, long process of honing the heart of this land and its people into something that is true, that cuts through delusion and immorality and lies, and reflects in its brilliance the best parts of human beings. I pray that that's the case. Like you, I suspect I was just terrified and shocked and so saddened by the images of Wednesday. So much going on that we barely even can remember that there was, for some of us, outstanding political news that very day, as Roger's opening song reminded us. And it's hard to know what to do with those feelings of fear, of anger, of disappointment, and trapped here in our houses of helplessness. Part of me wants to find some way to go to Washington, D.C. and put my body in between the Capitol building and anybody that would come and smash another window there. But I'm a dutiful citizen who doesn't want to be part of yet another super spreader event. What to do? As a spiritual person, there's only, a handful of options, as I understand it. It's to get grounded again, as always, in just one's own existence, one's life, one's body, one's actual place. And to lift up again, like the guiding lights that are central to our own way of doing things. Not just as individuals, but as a people. And as our service this morning unfolded, what struck me is perhaps the answers of how to be right now, how to feel, how to think about the world, come from a simple song set to the tune of Do, Re, Mi. This children's tune that we kind of zip by every week, but which actually enshrines the 7 principles that are absolutely the essence of the Unitarian Universalist way of living, our way of living, might give us a little guidance. 1, each person is worthwhile. This leads us to the justice work we're known for and proud of, to make sure that marginalized people and oppressed people have a voice, to try and end the unjust marginalization and unjust privilege that mark our society. But they also place a radical and mysterious demand upon us that if we were to take seriously the need to end the division in the United States, then even the people we saw enraged, violent, have to be held in our best and deepest consciousness as having inherent worth and dignity. So the fantasies of revenge or of victory or whatever might arise in the midst of that anger and fear and frustration must be tempered by a faithful conviction that everybody is a person and we're all one family. And the kind of rage and madness that can overtake people that we see on TV also lives in us. And if we're going to find the doorway to bridge those gaps and communicate with people, we have to actually be able to touch those things in ourselves and affirm our own worthwhile nature in spite of our imperfections and our unfinished business. 2, we're supposed to be kind in all we do. Even, I guess, to the people who are absolutely ignoring that bit of utterly useful advice. Maybe the best single guide to living that anyone could give: be kind in all you do. So even as we're crystal clear about disavowing insurrection and disavowing violence and disavowing lies and the manipulation of people through lies, we can retain a basic sense of care and kindness. For me, this means trying to never declare anybody evil, not even you know who, but lost or sick, and wondering, how might I make that better? How might I do number 3, let's help each other grow? Committing again, to supporting each other in worship, to speaking truth, to writing letters, to being active in the world. And 4, keep searching for the true. We often emphasize the search as Unitarian Universalists by keeping those open minds. For me today, it feels really necessary to affirm the true part of that statement. To not give up on this idea that it's all just a matter of interpretation. To abandon the notion that you can have alternative facts. There either is or there isn't a pandemic going on. There is. I am committed to naming and speaking truth. 5, each person has a say. And that means this is our principle that affirms the right of the democratic process and makes it clear to me that we must protect our fragile democracy at all costs, and makes me so grateful for those who would go back into those chambers with the smell of tear gas in the air still and take care of business and make sure that the voice of the people, again, however incomplete and imperfect, was heard. At 6, we have to work for a peaceful world. It's hard. Among other things, when I watched those images on Wednesday, I felt the fight in me come up. I felt myself thinking, well, if you climb through a broken window that you shattered with a baseball bat at the U.S. Capitol, you probably deserve whatever's coming at you, even if it's a bullet. That's a real thought, and I haven't found a way to completely abandon it. But I hope if I keep singing this song that I will renew my resolve to work for a peaceful world. And 7, the web of life's the way. To remember the big picture, to remember the hugeness of the earth, the vast distances of geologic time, to consider the long span of history, to remember the flowers and the birds and the animals who are unconcerned right now with the fate of the United States of America, and know that all of that is a part of this life that I call my own. All those books, all those poems, all that music, all that history, all of you conspiring to create this mysterious, difficult, impenetrable, and wonderful mosaic that we call human life. And I hope that if I can remember these things and take this song seriously, that I'll make it through this week and the next and the remaining years of my days with my hope and my joy intact. And I hope that those words do the same for you. And that's all I have to say.
I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul. I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river, I've got peace like a river in my soul, in my soul.
closing words are by Wendell Berry. This poem was a particular favorite of Reverend Dan O'Neill. At start of spring, I open a trench in the ground. I put into it the winter's accumulation of paper, pages I do not want to read again, useless words, fragments, errors. And I put into it the contents of the outhouse. Light of the sun, growth of the ground, finished with one of their journeys. To the sky, to the wind, then and to the faithful trees, I confess my sins, that I have not been happy enough considering my good luck, have listened to too much noise, have been inattentive to wonders, have lusted after praise, and then upon the gathered refuse of mind and body, I close the trench, folding shut again the dark, the deathless earth. Beneath that seal, the old escapes into the new.